I can't believe that we got a love letter to pro wrestling and today's crown jewel in Perth. Hello, everybody. My name is Sancho West, and welcome to Sancho West Wrestling, where I talk about all things wrestling. If you love wrestling as much as I do, consider subscribing to the channel. This is my crown jewel review for 2025, and we got a banger of a PLE out of Perth, and at the same time, I doubt ESPN's going to give this a grade C. This is by far way better than WrestlePalooza, and it gave us some big story moments going forward. And I really think it did a great job solidifying what does crown jewel champion mean going forward, and how to the template, so to speak, for champion versus champion. Let's go ahead and start off with the first match. We have Big Bronson Reed alongside with Paul Heyman versus Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight. Now, this was a big moment for Bronson Reed. I thought what was very crucial for Bronson Reed was to show out, considering that last year he was unable to attend Elimination Chamber because he literally hurt himself in War Games and shattered his ankles. So now this is his opportunity. This is his moment to perform in his own backyard. And I always had an inkling that Triple H loves to make you lose in front of your hometown, a la like Piper Niven, things of that sort. But this was a big win for Bronson Reed. Now, it wasn't clean. I was hoping for a clean win, but they still gave Roman Reigns a loss to Bronson Reed. And Bronson Reed's like one of the two individuals for a long time that was able to pin Roman Reigns. Kind of crazy to see, but I like the entire match itself. Roman Reigns looked like he was having fun. Roman Reigns, those type of matches are very typical where they're slow, they're very methodical, like a slow simmer, things of that sort. And all of a sudden it gets into the shenanigans. But instead, the WWE replaced that slow, methodical heel work of the Tribal Chief in the Bloodline days and actually made it fun. And it really worked by making this an Australian street fight. You had rugby balls, you had cricket bats, you had a lot of good pops with the crowd. There was a moment where Roman Reigns literally grabbed his microphone. He's like, "If you want tables, acknowledge me." Good stuff, man. Shades of The Rock, by the way, but really good stuff. And it shows you that Roman Reigns has a strong connection with the crowd. And I like that for Roman. I want to see more of that from Roman Reigns going into the future. And it was a really nice juxtaposition between Bronson Reed with his big heavy moves, the cutoffs, things like that a heel would do. That was really, really cool. And I think it worked in Bronson Reed's favor to be the guy to squash any kind of the fun vibes. Now, of course, when we got into the shenanigans of Braun Breaker coming out and spearing Roman Reigns, things got into more of bloodline rules type of vibe. And this time it was Jimmy and Jay that came out to save him. Now, if you didn't remember, Roman Reigns said, "Hey, I don't need your help. I'm going to do this on my own." And I think it's interesting to kind of point that out because Roman Reigns, Jay, and Jimmy kind of had this interesting thing where Jay now is main event. And then previous times when Roman came back as a face, you're like, "Dude, I'm not going to do that anymore. We're not going to be your boys anymore. We're going to be more like equals," things of that sort. And we kind of have that revisited here. But hey, Jay and Jimmy take out Braun Breaker with super kicks, and then all of a sudden you're thinking there may be another Vision member. It's 3v2 out there, but Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker get control of everything. They take out the Usos. Jimmy gets a barricade spot against from Braun Breaker. Bam, out goes Jimmy. And then in the ring, you have Roman Reigns, who's about to get DVD'd a Jagged Edge, a Death Valley Driver, Jagged Edge into the table spot from Big Bronson Reed. He shakes out of it, and Roman then all of a sudden, bam, gets speared by Jey Uso. Of course, it's an accident because Big Bronson Reed moved out the way, but Jay goes right into Roman, and Jay says, "I'm sorry, my bad, my bad." Gets speared by Braun Breaker himself, and then that leads to a huge tsunami from Bronson Reed, and Roman Reigns gets pinned. But hey, big win for the Vision. It's interesting as that the WWE has been moving down this story point needle that the Vision is getting wins without Seth Rollins, that the Vision of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are securing big wins against Randy Orton in terms of pins and against Roman Reigns. So another big day for the Vision, and I cannot wait to see what the Vision does going forward. I know the future is going to be an eventual split between Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Seth Rollins. But it's interesting as well, there was no Becky Lynch involved in any of the Vision business today. But like I mentioned, a huge W for Bronson Reed. Now, the post-match shenanigans was my favorite kind of shenanigans, and that is family drama from the Bloodline. And I think that's what makes Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso so unique, that they're able to dip into this well of family drama to bring some stakes into the forefront and give us something that we can relate to as a common fan. You get Roman Reigns saying, I love you, but I didn't need you. This is not the right way to do it. We need to We need to all disappear, just go away. Jade disappear, and then Jimmy is left in the ring by himself. I cannot wait to see the fallout going forward. In your next match, we have champion versus champion for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Stephanie Vaquer, the Women's World Champion, versus Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion. Now, this was the kind of match that it reminded me of Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer. I thought this match was very important on the card because this is the future of the women's division. Rhea Ripley is already a megastar, but hey, they could elevate Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton to that same level by having a great showing. And I didn't feel that if Tiffany lost or won, or Stephanie Vaquer won or lost, it wouldn't hurt any of the momentum as long as they put on a solid match. And that match was very, very solid. It built up organically. It was very nicely done. My main concern going into this match was Tiffany Stratton has had a couple of weird matches with Jade Cargill and Nia Jax and things of that sort where you were like, whoa, what's going on? What happened to the fluidity that Tiffany Stratton had? And the fluidity did return here with the dancing partner of Stephanie Vaquer. I thought the match was very nice where Stephanie Vaquer was no nonsense, and at the same time Tiffany Stratton was able to show her sneaky strength and things like that. I love her Alabama slam spot, and I love that Stephanie Vaquer was able to do her show of strength as well with a couple of suplexes, and of course we all love the devil's kiss. But this match does end kind of quickly. There was only a 10-minute match. It ends the same way as Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer, where all of a sudden Stephanie Vaquer dodges the Tiffany Stratton prettiest moonsault, dodges that, and then gets hit with her own spiral tap on top of Tiffany Stratton. Lands kind of boom right on her chest, on her knees, and probably knocked the wind out of her. But hey, Stephanie Vaquer is your WWE's Women's Crown Jewel Championship for 2025. And this is the kind of moment they're like, wow, they are putting the rocket on Stephanie Vaquer. It is all the way to the moon for Stephanie Vaquer. And if you are a Stephanie Vaquer fan, you have to be very, very excited. And what a lucky thing for the WWE, or what a smart investment, so to speak, to make sure they have resources to invest in the women's division if a wrestler does go down. It is always in the WWE's machine mindset, and it's always the next man up, or in this case, the next woman up, to go ahead and push the division forward. And Stephanie Vaquer is a fine choice to push the division forward. She can't be a working champion, and I'm hoping that they put her in a program like I mentioned going forward with Raquel and Roxy. In your next match, in the ultimate love letter to pro wrestling, it is John Cena versus AJ Styles. This is Mr. WWE versus TNA. I knew we were in for a treat when I saw AJ Styles rocking his old school TNA ring gear. It looked amazing. And you look at the crowd, it was covered in yellow shirts. It was a sea of yellow shirts because John Cena was a huge draw, and John Cena is the act that we were hoping here. This is the moment that you go, man, I wish the heel turn didn't happen. I wish the WWE had confidence in John Cena being the uber babyface, that was enough for a viral moment. Instead, they sacrificed 20 plus years for that, for a trip down heel lane, and that did not work out. The WWE, I'm glad they were able to pivot. But it's interesting to see what happens when John Cena calls the shots, when John Cena picks his opponents, when John Cena feels very motivated to put on his best work. If you look at WrestlePalooza, I don't think that was a very motivated John Cena performance against Brock Lesnar. Even though that may have been John Cena's quote-unquote decision, that did not feel like this current run. It felt like an anomaly that we just never want to revisit again. Instead, like I mentioned, we had John Cena pulling off so many signature moves and finishers for a lot of opponents. We had the Miz skull-crushing finale. We had the Walls of Jericho. We had the RKO. We had a choke slam from Kane or Undertaker. We had the Tombstone. We had all these tributes coming from John Cena. And at the same, the accolade, cannot forget Rusev Day. And at the same time, we had TNA tributes from AJ Styles. We had the Fade to Black from Frank Kazarian. We had the Coquina Clutch from Samoa Joe. We had the Scorpion Death Drop from Sting. We also had the One Wing Angel for Christopher Daniels. So it was really, really cool to get that love letter, to get a history lesson of pro wrestling unfold in the ring. And this is what makes wrestling a masterpiece of a performance art and one of my favorite things to enjoy. And I'm hoping that you feel the same kind of joy that I did watching AJ Styles versus John Cena, just going through it all. Now, you may say it was nothing but finishers and finishers and finishers, but it felt like to me what was happening was they threw everything at each other, and they were going into their kind of moveset to say, what can I do that was very devastating to me in my career and my opponents to take out this opponent in front of me. The match was great. If you fan service and tribute aside, you would say this match was very, very solid as well. I think it would stand as its own if you took out all those moves, but it was just something special. And what really, really made this special for me, which I'm going to go back to the very beginning of this match, was that AJ Styles got a special kind of announcement from the Alicia Taylor. John Cena handed a note, and I don't think John Cena knew what was about to happen. John Cena gave AJ Styles his flowers on one of the biggest stages on one of his last appearances. That was really, really cool. They mentioned the Bullet Club. They gave AJ Styles his due, and I cannot wait to see what AJ Styles does. Do we give AJ Styles his own retirement tour? I don't think AJ Styles is the kind of guy that wants all that spotlight, but I think AJ Styles deserves a strong run going into 2026 for his last year. By far, my favorite match of the night. By far, match of the year, easily said and done. And because it's this match that elevates this PLE to a top 3 for 2025, and this match, dare I say, is probably in my top 10. I have to really think about it, but I love this match, and I want to know what you thought about this match as well. Now, the WWE did a great thing, right? Typically in the past, when women's wrestling follows a big match, you're like, oh my God, quote unquote, the bathroom break, quote unquote, this is the buffer match, but not so fast, my friends, not this WWE. They put Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors right here in the slot. And I thought that was a great thing to do because it's a great way to re-energize the bank, right? Re-energize the crowd, who's been a great crowd the entire night. And Rhea Ripley, dude, in her home country, is going to be that right solution for that. And this was a great match. Now, there's nothing really abnormal about this match. There's not really anything stand out about this match. This was a solid tag team match. I think that WWE could have really gone into more of the drama of Io Sky being reluctant to take out Asuka, but I do feel that the WWE kind of settled that before going in, where Io Sky was determined, like, okay, I understand what's happened, Rhea. I'm on your side. I do believe I need to do the right thing and take out the Kabuki Warriors, but I do wish there was a little bit more of that emotion from this match, like, oh, I am not, this doesn't feel right to me. I need to, make peace with my family type of vibe. We could have got that more. That would have added a little bit to the match, but overall, it was a great match. It was building for a great hot tag for Rhea Ripley. There were some good moments between Rhea Ripley and Asuka. I think all ladies looked very strong here. Kairi Sane mainly looked very strong here. I mean, considering that Kairi Sane has a lot of those ghouls in her back in terms of dealing with the Liv Morgan injury, dealing with the Zoe Stark injury on her matches. But now that that's kind of gone away a little bit, we've a little bit removed from those moments. I think Kairi Sane looked really well, and dare I say, Asuka and Kairi Sane of the Kabuki Warriors could definitely take away the titles from Alexa and Charlotte Flair. I think that's something that I could see now, and I'm hoping that Io Sky and Rhea Ripley move on to other things. You could definitely say Io Sky and Rhea Ripley could go after the titles as well if you want to, but I think it's time to start putting them in the singles careers and get Rhea Ripley back into the singles gold or world championship status. I know I mentioned Raquel and Roxy for Stephanie Vaquer, but Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer would be really nice. In your main event of the night, it is Seth Rollins, the heavyweight champion, versus the undisputed champion for Cody Rhodes here in the WWE's Crown Jewel Championship for the men's side of things. Now, this match is where I have to give the flowers to the Perth crowd. They really got into Seth Rollins' head, and because they got into Seth Rollins' head, it laid a great foundation for the earlier part of the match. The ring psychology was amplified by the crowd because it played into the story of Seth Rollins doubting himself. If you look at the ring gear in today's PLE, he had all the different pieces from the previous bouts against Cody Rhodes, who continuously mentions to him that he's 3-0, and then he even calls himself the Achilles heel of Seth Rollins. So you had all that working towards this match, and I thought the crowd did a great job of lighting the fire, adding fuel to this fire, and keeping this going. Now, this match for me doesn't really kick it into gear until Seth Rollins locks in and starts putting some offense against Cody Rhodes. When Cody Rhodes is the one that kind of driving in and is standing tall in the middle of the ring as a babyface, this match kind of starts to simmer at the very beginning. But as it ramps up, as all these competitors are throwing everything at each other, like AJ and like John Cena, but instead of going into signatures and finishers from other past competitors, they kept it in-house between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. They hit their finishers, there was false finishes, but the match starts to turn into a PLE level when Seth Rollins decides to do a coast-to-coast headbutt against Cody Rhodes. And wow, lands on his left shoulder, immediately starts favoring the left shoulder. And I'm thinking in my mind that if this is a legit injury, really kudos for Seth Rollins for working through this injury to make sure to get to the end of the match. But it is also a great way to tell the story that when Cody Rhodes beat Seth Rollins in the Hell in a Cell match with a torn pec, that he beat him one-handed. Now, the same thing you could go forward, that Seth Rollins can now say that he was able to beat Cody Rhodes one-handed as well, as evening that score, because I was shocked that the WWE did that, putting Cody Rhodes over a Seth Rollins. But that match hits there. You get a super crossroads, which is really cool to see that they're able to pull off from Cody Rhodes to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins kicks out. And then you see this moment here that, yeah, it's not a clean finish, but regardless, in my mind, I was predicting Brock Lesnar would come out to help out Seth Rollins. And a little bit before, you had a moment where Paul Heyman tells the Vision, like, hey, we're going to celebrate later when we get to the United States. But Cody and Seth has to do it alone. Don't go out there, don't help him. And I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be a swerve for Brock Lesnar, but that doesn't happen. Instead, you had a moment where Seth Rollins goes out to the ring. He has the watch the entire time, meaning that he planned this. He goes out to the timekeeper's area, picks up the Rolex, leaves it in the corner of the ring. Then he goes back to it when he's about to be, put through a pedigree from Cody Rhodes, and he does a ref bump, nails Cody right in the jaw, right there with the watch right here. Boom. Knocks out Cody, does one curb stomp, and then a super curb stomp, and that is the finish right there for Crown Jewel. Regardless of how it went down, I think it's important that Seth Rollins did get this victory over it. Not only that, Cody Rhodes did win last year, but having Seth Rollins beat Cody Rhodes is a big major deal, considering that all the things that Seth Rollins sacrificed. And it's like I mentioned, the crowd was really giving it to Seth Rollins, considering that this guy sacrificed everything that he did for that Mania moment for Cody Rhodes to finish the story. And he was trying to protect the WWE from Roman Reigns and The Rock, Diarrhea Dwayne. And all those things, for them, the crowd to turn on him speaks volumes that he was hated and he was just blasted by that Perth crowd. So again, thank you, Perth crowd. But hey, Seth Rollins and Stephanie Raquel are your Crown Jewel champions for 2025. And I think this PLE is in a good space. And I think the WWE could really use this PLE to build storylines going forward for all champions. The only thing I'm hoping is they find a way to keep the mid card and the lower card kind of bolstered up during this time, because when the champions are involved in their own storylines, you can't really progress much going forward. And again, I wish this had more than 5 matches. Thank you so much for watching my Crown Jewel review. If you made it this far, then hey, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below what you thought of Crown Jewel. Thank you so much for watching. I see you on the next one. But peace.